Hey, this is Simple Quetzal, aka your Sleep Paralysis Demon, and today I wanted to talk about some killer perks I would like to have changed, reworked, or just straight up buffed, because they underperform at the moment and are just not viable in usual builds. I'm going to go over 9 killer perks. I'm going to do it quickly, going to give my reasons, and be sure to, accept that it's personal opinion. You can disagree, I don't even mind. Write your own opinion in the comments, write your suggested changes in the comments, because I would really like to see some changes for these perks. Okay, let's start. Uh, a perk that is only useful in one build I can think of, which is the Impossible Skill Check Doctor. And even there, it's not as impactful as, you know, it should be, and you could replace it with some other perk. Unnerving Presence currently makes skill checks in your terror radius have a slightly higher chance to appear, and gives the skill check success zone a very decent uh, smaller radius. So it's basically decisive strike skill check. It's not a great perk. You can replace it. It's low ranks will not repair in your terror radius, and high ranks will not miss skill checks. It's just not a very good perk. I wouldn't use it if you play, you know, a serious match if you want to win. Uh, so I decided to change that. That it has more impact for all ranks and more of a surprise ability, which I did like this. Every time a survivor enters your terror radius, a tremendously difficult skill check is triggered, uh, and if they don't hit this, an additional 3, 4, and 5% regression is um, added to the healing or to the repairing they were doing, and survivors who triggered this perk basically become immune to it for the next 10 seconds. This is just so you can't run back and forth and keep giving one survivor skill checks, because that would be stupid, wouldn't it? Okay, next perk. Overcharge. Overcharge currently is not rewarding for... You need to uh, damage generators in order for it to work, and the damaging generator is not good. If a survivor touches the regressing generator you kicked with overcharge, they have a decisive skill check. If they are prepared, they will never ever fail it, at least not if they are quite skilled. It's not a useful perk overall. So I decided to make it more impactful and more of a passive perk, slowly charging up and being able to regress generators, which I did by making it a token perk. Each time survivors complete a great skill check, it could be a good skill check as well. I'm not entirely sure at this point, but I feel like a good skill check would maybe be too strong. So every time survivors complete a great skill checks while repairing, you gain a token with a maximum of 5, 8, and 10 tokens. And damaging a generator will consume all the tokens you currently have on this perk and instantly regress 1% per token consumed on this generator. Mini Poco's the Weasel, nothing more to say here. I would really like to see a change in that direction, uh, because we need more or less passive regression perks, since we don't have old Rune anymore. Okay, moving on, let's talk about Insidious. Currently, if you don't move for 2 seconds, you gain undetectable, no terror radius, no red stain whatsoever. It's only used for basement camping, and it's not fun. It's not fun for the killer, it's not fun for the survivors, and just overall not a very good perk. It will not be effective in your casual game. You will not see it on any serious build. So I decided to make it more encouraging to move out of the area of hooked survivor and maybe catch someone off guard. You get undetectable when you're further than 32, 28, and 24 meters away from hooked survivor. Obviously only active while the survivor is hooked. Would be a very, very nice change. As I said, just to encourage people to move along, to go and maybe catch someone off guard and let them unhook. Would work in a very decent synergy with perks like Devour Hope, I personally feel. Okay, next off, Territorial Imperative. Currently, when the survivor enters the basement, this perk activates and you see the aura for 3 seconds. That is if you're further than 32 meters away from the basement. It also has a cooldown of 20 seconds. Yeah, it's bad. Sorry, it's just bad. If you're not a high mobility movement killer who can move 32 meters in like 5 seconds, you will not get any value out of this perk. So I thought about how to make it more impactful and make it more rewarding. And even if you don't get the survivor from the basement, you still get some kind of value. And I think I got made a pretty good job. Maybe it's a bit too strong, but I think it would be very fun. Activates when a survivor is located in the basement. Survivors in the basement are inflicted with the Oblivious status effect. This is to make the basement even a more dangerous place. You know, the killer could be coming anytime, you don't even hear them approaching. Oblivious persists for an additional 20, 25, and 30 seconds after leaving the basement. Simple stuff, you know. The survivor goes to the basement. Oh shit, I'm oblivious. The killer has territorial imperative. Let me quickly move along and get out. I would feel like that's a decent change. Let me know what you think. I'm not entirely sure on this one, but I think I did a okay job. Okay, next off, Gearheads. We all know Gearheads, one of the most useless information perks out there, honestly. And currently, if you hit a survivor twice with your basic attack, it activates for 30 seconds. And every time good skill checks are completed, you see the generator in yellow. That's it. It's a really bad information perk. So I decided to change that from information perk to general passive cooldown. How did I do it? By making it activate for 20 seconds when you hit survivors 2 times with a basic attack. This is a bit poorly worded, I'm sorry. Um, and for these 20 seconds while active, failed skill checks grant an additional penalty of 3, 4, 5% just for the passive slowdown, and great skill checks don't grant any bonus progression. Halfway like Old Ruin, uh, not always active, and good skill checks are still not regressing you. But I feel like that will be a very decent change. Maybe with a few tweaks left and right from the developer's perspective, this could be a very interesting passive slowdown perk. Moving on, Blood Favor. Blood Favor currently is the worst hex perk in my opinion. It has a very fun effect, but it's so little, it's so bad. Honestly, for hex perk, you expect more. Think of Hex Ruin. It impacts the game to a degree where survivors really want to cleanse it. They want to actively look for the totem. Think of Devour Hope. As soon as it's active, survivors know they have to get the totem. Um, this perk just is nothing like that. If you hit a survivor with a basic attack, all pellets within 16 meters of your location become blocked for 15 seconds. Has a 40 seconds cooldown. Yeah. 40 seconds is enough for the Hex Totem to be cleansed 3 times almost. So the cooldown kind of destroys it. But just taking away the cooldown wouldn't solve anything, it would just result in this perk being basically overpowered. Um, so I thought about it, and I think I came up with a really nice conclusion in a mixture of crew limits and the Blood Favor. Every time you hit a survivor with a basic attack, all vault locations, windows, and pallets within 24 meters of you are blocked for 15, 18, and 20 seconds. Hex Blood Favor has a cooldown of 60, 45, and 30 seconds. Basically, cut the cooldown a little bit and made it so that it does not only block pellets, but also vault locations in a bit of a larger radius for a little bit longer. Just some quality of life things, but I feel like this could really shine if you hit a survivor before they vault a window and they want to vault it and they can no longer do it. Seems very promising, but I feel like it needs that. For Hexperk, Hexperk should be impactful to the game. They should encourage survivors to look for them, to go and get the totem cleansed. Okay, move on. Furtive Chase. Furtive Chase currently makes it so that every time you hook the obsession, you gain a token, up to 4 tokens. Uh, so you need to hook the obsession 4 times for this perk to have the maximum effect, which is reducing attack radius by 16 meters only during chase. The only reason why why killers use this perk is for the slow downer part, which is when the obsession is rescued, the rescue becomes the obsession. And even then, there's better options, calling Nemesis. Not the killer Nemesis, but the perk Nemesis. It's just not a good perk overall. It has no effect. Having a less of a attack radius during chase is actually bad, I feel, because you're not applying pressure, and you will not catch someone off guard like that. So I thought a lot about it and came up with what I think would be quite a good change. Gain a token every time you hook a survivor with a maximum of 2, 3, and 4 tokens. Hitting a survivor with a basic attack consumes all current tokens and inflicts incapacitated, yeah, for 10 seconds for each token consumed. So up to 40 seconds incapacitated. If you don't know what this effect does, it basically disables all M1 actions from the survivor. You can no longer heal, you can no longer cleanse, you can no longer repair generators, you can no longer open exit gates. And 40 seconds of that could potentially be really, really impactful. Uh, Also, you gain 2 tokens when the obsession is hooked. When a survivor rescues the obsession from a sacrificial hook, the rescuer becomes the obsession. I decided to keep that part because it's the only thing that makes this perk very unique. Um, Maybe you gain 2 tokens every time the obsession is hooked. It's a bit too much, but I feel like that could be a very, very good passive slowdown perk as well, especially for, let's say, Wraith maybe. Just having a survivor not being able to do any uh, meaningful action, just basically being useless for up to 40 seconds can be very, very good because 40 seconds is half a generator. Always keep that in mind. Alright, I don't want to go into it any further. Beast of Prey. Beast of Prey is so bad. It activates once you gain Bloodlust, which only happens if you chase a survivor for 15 seconds and have not hit him, have not get stunned. Oh, I think stuns don't matter, but if you haven't kicked the pallet. And what it does, it gives you the undetectable status effect. No red stain, no terror radius. Which would be potentially good, but the terror radius only goes away as long as you have Bloodlust. If you leave the chase, Bloodlust will vanish, this perk will deactivate, you will have a normal terror radius again. And survivors, there's something called chase music, which survivors are very well aware of, so that's not something you want. This perk is only good because of the bonus blood points, and even they don't really matter because they are not awarded post-trial like barbecue and chili, but rather give you quicker blood points in the game itself. You just don't want to run it, it's not a good perk. I thought about it and I decided to do a full 180. Instead of having undetectable when chasing someone and having bloodlust, how about having a bigger attack radius? Upon reaching bloodlust, you gain a token for each level of bloodlust. Each token increases the attack radius by 8, 12, and 16 meters. Tokens persist as long as bloodlust is active. So you can have a attack radius that is almost, let me think, it's 48. You can have a attack radius that is 80 meters with this. If you have bloodlust level 3. This could be very good. Mind you, you have to have a Bloodlust for this to work, but it would be way better. Even just having Bloodlust level 1, having a 50% bigger terror radius can be so impactful. You can, pressure survivors off gens who are not even close to you. They may be scared because they hear terror radius, Basically just monitor and abuse during chase. Just really big turn radius. And I feel like that will be a very nice change. Um, and complete opposite of what it does right now. So, okay. Moving on to the last perk, Monstrous Shrine. The basement hooks possess the following benefits. 9% faster hook progression in the basement. Oh, you may think. Very good perk, right? 9% faster? Almost 10%. Sounds pretty impactful. No, it's 5 seconds per hook stage. Maybe 5 point something. It's, let's say 6. It's not good. Self-unhooking difficulty and self-unhooking penalty is useless because no one tries that anyway unless they have deliverance. Um, and it no, the 9% extra hook progression, it's only useful on basement Bubba, and even on him, it's, let's say, not good. You can replace it with any other perk you want and get better results. It's not a game slowdown perk, it's not a pressuring perk, it's not a chase perk. It just doesn't do enough. So instead of having this, uh, in difficulty in self-unhooking, I thought about directly countering deliverance. Deliverance only, and maybe the 4% as well. Um, Hook progression is increased, sorry. Apparently hook progression is increased by 9, 12, and 15%. 15% may sound a lot, but it's still only 6 point something, maybe 7 seconds, not that big of a deal per hook stage. And the attempt escape action is blocked. It's completely blocked, you can no longer attempt escape. That would be very cool. It would force someone, even if they have deliverance and ready, I can't speak. It would force a teammate to go along, go find the survivor, go unhook the survivor, find the basement, unhook the survivor, and get out. And it basically just enhances the two things that it was doing before, but doing it better. It wouldn't be OP in my opinion, because it just counted one perk. It's like Strider and Iron Will. Uh, and honestly, Monster Shrine needs it. It's a really bad perk. Alright, that's it. Very much hope you enjoyed it. It was very fun making this video. And let me know what you think. See you in the next one.